Oh boy, it's the first film of January that actually counts as a January release, and it's a shitty horror film. And a remake on top of that. Fuck. Hello and welcome back to another movie review. As always, I'm Kelly, and I just got out of The Grudge 2020, and okay, let's just get this out of the way. It's January. Now, I and many others have said repeatedly, and has been proven true, that January is a dumping ground for Hollywood. Pretty much all of January and the end of August slash the start of September are pretty much the dumping grounds where Hollywood throws all the movies that it doesn't give a shit about or it doesn't have any faith in. And lo and behold, we've got a big shitty horror film. And I don't want to hate this one as much, because I've seen a lot of people bitching on this one and beating it into the ground. And I'm not going to say it doesn't deserve a lot of its criticisms and rebukes, because it really does. This movie is not good. But I do feel that a lot of people are trying to hold this one up to a higher standard because it's The Grudge, which, let's be honest, there's only two good Grudge movies, the original and the first American one, and even then, most people could argue that the first American one's not very good. I still enjoy the American Grudge, though I will admit that it's not as good as the original Grudge. But even then, that's not the greatest film out there ever. It really loves the slow burn, and a lot of its scares are outright ruined by the fact that it just holds on things too long. Also, there was The Grudge 2 in America, but no one remembers that. So with that said, I do feel that a lot of people, even on an unconscious level, are still saying, oh, well, it's not nearly as good as that old Grudge, so it must be a lot worse than it is. But unlike a lot of January horror films, I can say that this one tried. And it tried really hard to give us a damn good retake, a reimagining, reboot, whatever you want to call it, of the Grudge phenomenon. There is no denying that the Grudge, girl and the contortionist way she moves is a horror staple. It's almost as iconic as pretty much Jason's mask or Freddy Krueger's glove. So when you're tasked with rebooting and revitalizing something like this, you're walking uphill here with skates on ice. It's not gonna work. But sticking with non-spoilers here for a second, this movie has a damn good cast who are giving it all of their A game. And no, they're not sleepwalking through it like a lot of people are saying. Trust me, I've seen a lot of people who sleepwalk through performances. Pretty much everyone here is trying their damnedest to realize this director/writer's vision. Do some of them come off as bland or stale? Absolutely. Do some of them come off as maybe not being very well fleshed out? Most definitely. But it's not the actors. The actors are trying 110% of this. They are putting everything they have into a January horror film. So, again, I have to say, this movie is trying. But the movie is confused at what it is trying to do. This is all a writing and direction level disaster, if you will. It actively contradicts itself many times. It doesn't line up with the original Grudge film or its premises, even though it's trying to still keep those intact. There are several sequences where it basically does outright say, yes, the Grudge still happened. But this movie is just so clumsily put together and filled with so many horror cliches, it doesn't even make it a fun watch, ironically. It's just sad. And that's basically my non-spoiler thoughts on it. If you want to stay for more, I can actually talk in detail what they did good and bad. So, starting with the good, continuing with the acting, I will say that everyone, again, is giving their all inside of this, especially Andrea Borogova. God damn it, me and names. Her performance in particular really surprised me, because I thought she was just going to play, the very, very naive, stupid cop, but she's not. In fact, she's putting these mysteries together fairly well while dealing with the hauntings that are going on around her in a fairly realistic way. She's more likely to pull out a gun than she is to sit there screaming at the top of her lungs. But at the same time, you can tell she does have the control not to fire said gun until she knows what the fuck she's looking at. Her descent down this rabbit hole is very, very well executed. From starting off in kind of an uneasy place, new town, new partner, her husband just died, and she's got her kid to look after. Starting there, digging down this rabbit hole, going through the hauntings and seeing everything around her. You really do feel pretty much everything that she's going through, and it's very well portrayed. Also, I do appreciate that this film is really trying to emulate the original Grudge without repeating it, being that we have a character that's looking into all of this, and all of these different stories kind of get played to us in pieces as they're discovered, and piecing them all together and how they interlink to really form this Grudge entity, and shows how it creeps into everything about these people. Though in the original, I believe it was a reporter they were following. This time they're just following from the cop's perspective as they're investigating these crimes that just keep happening at this house. It's a take of horror films that you don't generally see. Usually when we get into these situations, we see just some guy who stumbles into this and has to learn as he goes. This time we're seeing a methodical investigation, a cop getting caught up on cases while trying to figure out if there's a link between all of them. But it's also trying to keep the tone of the original Grudges, which was a much better, unique perspective. It's not the big jump scares or the loud noises, though there's plenty of those in here and we'll talk about them in a minute. It's more of the atmosphere, the building of tension, you know this thing is there. You know it's messing with them. And you can see different details in the monsters or the kids or the ghosts and things that pop up every now and then that do play into their stories later, even if it's done pretty clumsily and not very well. I will give this movie credit. It is trying really hard here. But it's still a January horror film, and we gotta talk about the bad. Yeah, for all of my talk about how they're trying to keep the original tone of The Grudge going throughout this whole movie, it's still basically an American horror film, and they can't help themselves. There's just way too many jump scares in here, and they are way too obvious, and they all have loud musical cues. And I will admit that the first 40 minutes of this film was kind of ruined for me because, for whatever reason, my theater accidentally left the subtitles on. Pissed off one guy in the theater really bad. It was hilarious. But at the same time, when you have the sound effects coming on, the readable little text and things, it really just undercuts every single one of these scares. But even then, I've already figured out my own little trick to see if I'm actually being scared by this or if it's just startling because I heard a loud noise. I plug one ear. If I'm still scared, if I've plugged one ear, your film's doing good. If I'm not, then obviously you're relying way too much on these stupid tricks. Also, this film really thinks it's smarter than it is with the way it's trying to structure all of these different stories being told. Again, it is emulating the original Grudges here and trying to do it in its own twist. However, these stories are pretty clear-cut and honestly not very impactful or meaningful. For example, the original Grudge, the affair storyline, and how that played into things and shaping people's psychology and led down these little paths, hitting the dominoes along the way that created this Grudge and why it keeps repeating itself. In this one, there's an entire big subplot with John Chow and his pregnant wife, who are realtors trying to sell this evil house. They're going off to doctors, and apparently their kid that's on the way is going to have some rare genetic disease. But, what does this have to do with anything? John Chow never really feels resentful of any of this. It's pretty well established that he's not mad at all. He's trying to be supportive. He's trying to keep his marriage together, and he's trying not to make his wife feel like garbage because she really does feel that she's the one to blame because their kid's going to come out unhealthy because she didn't want kids. He doesn't care about that. He's trying to be the supportive father figure here. He doesn't care about any of that. He's trying to just be the supportive husband and acknowledge that this is just something they gotta deal with. He loves them both and he will always love them both. But then the Grudge ghost just possesses him and he stabs his wife with some scissors. What did that have to do with anything? There's a lot of storylines like that where they feel like they're building something up that's going to be important, like the little girl in her nosebleeds and things, and it goes nowhere. Say what you will about the original Grudge, but the writing on it is superb because everything they bring up and put into the story built into this creature and its manifestations. So I still don't like the idea that you can't kill it, but I guess if we did, there would be no sequels. So, speaking of which, we gotta talk about the ending of this film, because they actually do try to go the kill it route, and just like with the originals, they burn the house down with the ghosts inside. There's even a really good moment where the cop, played by a name I'm not going to try to repronounce again, is looking at her supposed son, only to find out it's the ghost, because the ghost, for some reason, doesn't know things it really should, and she throws a freaking match on it and lights it on fire. Showing this character overcome the evil and the hatred of this house to finally put an end and end the cycle, and despite the fact that the flashbacks it's showing while she's like dousing the house in gasoline have nothing to do with anything, I do like the idea of this. Again, you're moving forward and you're doing something different than the other Grudges did. But then we get the standard American horror ending where, oh, hey, look, we're all happy, it's bright, it's colorful, and there's no traffic accidents, and there's world peace, and oh no, it was all a dream. The ghosts have now infected this house, and they've moved on. It's like, fuck you. And then the movie has the gall to literally just stop as the ghost pulls the main chick away and just cuts onto a exterior shot of the house and just sits there uncomfortable for like a minute, 2 minutes. Like, the fuck was that? Comparing this to Friday the 13th, because it's what comes to the head when they had this big old dream sequence. Yeah, remember how they made it quick? You know, they drive off, they kill the mother, and then, cut to credits. You know, it's a good 20 seconds. Here, it's just like 2 minutes sitting there. It's not scary, it's not impactful, it's just idiotic and feels like a middle finger to the audience. And that's where we have our big problem here. It's just an American horror film trying to do atmosphere. And that's pretty much it. You got some atmosphere down, but the jump scares are stupid. Your ending is laughable. You keep contradicting the things that happen in The Grudge by having the monsters not act like they're supposed to, because, you know, they're trying to do their own Grudge. But it seems like the ghosts that are haunting them are the death of the first family in this house. Shouldn't it be, you know, the original Grudge monster come over here and using their skins like as shells? No, it's the family from this one. They tried to reboot this movie, but also wanted it to be in canon with the old one. You can't have it both ways. Either it's the original monster, or it's this new reboot family. Honestly, I had a good idea halfway through this movie. What if it was two Grudges? She brought the Grudge with her to the America in this house, but then something happened in her own house, and they caused a violent act and create a Grudge. You have two competing Grudges with people getting caught in the middle. Then, of course, you could end it by lighting them both aflame and ending the cycle, but that's me. I could honestly go on with this one and just talk and rant, because there's a lot of good in here. I can see easily how this movie could be a lot better. But it's just a January horror flick, and there's no getting around it. So, my honest to God verdict, it's not going to be a fuck it. It's going to be a skip it. There's no reason to see this when you have all the Oscar bait movies dropping in theaters. Like, seriously, we have another weekend where 6 or 7 movies are dropping in my theater, but most of those are the Oscar bait ones that everyone else got in November. You have plenty of options, and I'm sure much better horror films are coming up pretty soon. So, yeah, just skip this disappointing mess. And that's it for me. Did you enjoy the video? Am I wrong? Are you right? Have you seen any of the Grudges? Tell me what your thoughts are down in the comments below, and let's get some healthy discussion going. And as always, if you like what you saw, be sure to hit the like, share, subscribe, all that jazz. All of it really does help my channel grow, and hopefully one day I'll be making money doing this. Also, I've been streaming every Thursday at 11 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I've been doing Pokemon randomized versions of both Heart Gold and Pokemon Platinum, both of which can be found on playlists on my channel, so you can get caught up. We're nearing the end of Pokemon Platinum, so I'm probably going to be jumping into a Final Fantasy. I'm thinking either 9, 8, or 15. One of those ones, because I got a nice new streaming device and I want to try it on my PlayStation. But yeah, that's it for me, and I'll see you all next time.